Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is March 16th, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching oil break $70 to $66 a barrel. But first, looking at the major economic events of today. So 3:15 South African time, out of the European Union, we have the ECB, the European Central Bank, will be publishing a refinancing rate. It's an interest rate decision and very important. So as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the dollar slightly stronger versus the major pairs and looking at the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, both rebounding after a collapse, after the banking collapse. Now looking at commodities, gold, still very strong and resilient while oil breaks down that support. And looking at stocks, Alcoa breaks lower while the tech stocks, specifically Facebook, moves higher. And lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, still steady. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to start with the Euro USD, and you could see that we did have this nosedive just the other day, and this was the collapse of all the banking sector, and then we grabbed ourselves at support, and you could see quite clearly we've been between 105-ish level and 107-ish level, about 150 pip relative range, which is decent. It's very decent, and we're just coming into this main refinancing rate later today, so we're just hovering almost at the midpoint. Now if there's going to be any kind of breakout above 107 or below 105, then we should see a further correction. So that is what I would be looking for today, looking at this particular pair. Now looking at the GBP USD and the Australian dollar, same kind of story. Nothing really happening. The dollar still getting a little bit stronger versus the two pairs. At the Australian dollar also just hovering around. Now jumping into commodities, looking at gold, look at this resiliency, 1921 right now. We hit higher, we retrace, and now we're kind of giving it another go. Now this is all going in the back of the uncertainty of what's happening with the banking sector, and it's completely legitimate. Okay, so just be aware there is resistance at 1940. If it does break above that, then it could go higher. Okay, but this may be a really great correctional kind of trade if it does falter below that 1900-ish level. So keep that in mind later today as this continues to trade. Now looking at crude oil, this is where we're at on a weekly chart, and you can see that we're trading at $68 a barrel. That's way below that $80 high range that we keep on getting to. Okay, but at 68, it does show like it's breaking down, and at this area we could correct ourselves further. Now we haven't been at this area since 2021 of November, so that's a decent area for us to retrace back to. And remember, we capitulated last winter to 130 because on the onslaught of the war between Ukraine and Russia, okay, Russia invading Ukraine, right? So keep this in mind as this is still faltering, and if it does break that 63-ish level, then we could see it back in the 50s, believe it or not. I know we're ahead of that, but keep that in mind later today. Now looking at the US markets, the Dow Jones this morning just faltering. However, it did sell off to 31,500-ish level and bounced off of it, as you can see here, and we're trading between 32,500-ish level and 31,500, in between these two Fibonacci levels, and we're right smack in the middle of that. So today's going to be a telling sign, and the markets are kind of shifted because look, when we look at the NASDAQ, it's much stronger, right? It's near its highs or near the top of the range as opposed to breaking down, which is, we're seeing this convergence in the market where high-tech stocks are getting stronger and the old tech stocks are getting weaker. If we look specifically, Alcoa breaking down, okay, to $39 a share, while if we look at it, Facebook gaps and goes and still very strong on the upside. That's a very important factor if we look at that. And looking at Intel, which is also one of the biggest chip makers in the United States, if not the biggest, it is breaking out to $28 a share from $24 when it was low. So there is a turnaround when it comes to high-tech stocks. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, it's still resilient. Okay, it's not breaking down to 20,000, but it's not breaking higher and clearing that 25,000. That's bothering me. It's getting closer right now to 24,900. And if it did clear it, then I would say we could possibly go even higher to maybe 27,000, 28,000 per Bitcoin. And so just expect these wild moves to continue happening. Make sure to put in stop losses, because this type of asset is really just moving very erratically, in a great place for scalpers, not a great place for swing traders. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.